further issue. Aaron moved to Cincinnati sometime in 2015, and there didn't seem to be any issues there, at least not at the start. In January of 2018, Aaron filed a lawsuit against CNBC Universal Media LLC and TD Ameritrade Holding Corp., alleging that both companies uncovered his identity and published personal details about him, and were conducting an extensive investigation of his personal devices. He continued by saying his phone and other electronics were tapped, and facts about him were being broadcast. Aaron admitted that he suffered from emotional distress, and claimed that he was under, quote, character assassination. Despite his claims, no records of Aaron appearing anywhere on the CNBC website was ever located before the shooting. Aaron was seeking $5.1 million in damages. A federal magistrate dismissed the allegations in June the same year, saying it was, quote, rambling, difficult to decipher, and borders on delusional. The day after the lawsuit was dismissed, Aaron filed a motion, trying to clear up what his complaint was about. The motion and lawsuit were filed by Aaron himself, without an attorney, though he requested that the court appoint him one, which is not something that happens during these types of court hearings. The lawsuit was still pending at the time of the shooting. During a period of time when Aaron was living in Ohio, he stayed with his aunt in the Forest Park area, in her basement, and they became somewhat close. His aunt was also his godmother, and when she learned of the shooter's identity, she collapsed, sobbing hysterically and questioning why he would do such a horrific thing. It just didn't seem like her nephew. According to Aaron's social media accounts, he was taking classes at Cincinnati State Technical and Community College, though this was not confirmed. Aaron was living alone in an apartment at the time of the shooting. The apartment was located in North Bend, near the Indiana border. Neighbors reported that Aaron often strolled the neighborhood with an angry expression, never responding back when greeted with a hello. Other neighbors reported that Aaron was reserved, keeping to himself and avoiding others, while yet another neighbor said she believed that there was a woman living with Aaron up until a few weeks before the shooting. However, research didn't show who the woman was, or whether she truly lived there. He legally purchased his firearm just over a month before the shooting, on August 2nd, at Shoot Point Blank, which is an indoor shooting range and gun retailer in Cincinnati. His family reported that he was working at the time of the shooting, though no one could say where, and this seems to still be unconfirmed. Aaron's criminal record includes an arrest in Broward County, Florida, for public brawling and resisting arrest and possession of marijuana in Palm Beach, Florida. There were also traffic offenses in Deerfield Beach, Florida, disorderly conduct in Coconut Creek, Florida, and in 2015, he was charged with driving on an expired plate in Cincinnati. On at least 2 separate occasions, Aaron's mom and sister tried to get him into mental health treatment, or at least counseling, in Palm Beach. They both alleged that Aaron was mentally ill and vicious, displaying threatening behaviors such as punching walls, refusing medication, and outright scaring them. Initially, a judge granted a no-hearing order, which required that Aaron obtain a mental health evaluation. This was ordered both times Aaron's family tried to get him help. It appears Aaron voluntarily entered into treatment at some point because his name is not listed in the NICS, or National Instant Criminal Background Check System, which is required when an individual is ordered into treatment against their will. This database would have notified a gun seller not to sell to a prohibited person. 4 police officers that pursued the shooter were awarded Medals of Valor. These officers include Specialist Gregory Toyes, Officer Jennifer Chilton, Officer Antonio Etter, and Officer Eric Kaminsky. Officer Al Staples, who helped Whitney Austin to safety, was also awarded a Medal of Valor. Al and Whitney remain close to this day. After all, that is a very unusual, unique bond that can never be broken. Brian Sarver has PTSD. Loud noises scare him quickly, and he's very uncomfortable with people standing behind him. Whitney required multiple surgeries to repair the injuries to her arms. She resigned her job at Fifth Third and established her own foundation called Whitney Strong, which is an organization that seeks to end gun violence through responsible gun ownership. A special investigation was conducted into the officer's shooting, and it was determined to be justified after the Hamilton County prosecutors declared that, quote, not only were the officer's actions justified, they were heroic. What went wrong? Where did it go wrong? Most outside of the shooter's own home didn't even notice there was anything odd or amiss. His closest loved ones cried out for help, though. They saw something, so they said something. It wasn't enough in today's case, but it's our hope that by continuing to tell these stories, we can keep conversations going. Conversations about responsible gun ownership, and not just improving, but perhaps overhauling our mental health systems. It is our most sincere hope that there will be no more active or mass shooting stories to tell. In the meantime, we urge our listeners to remain vigilant about your surroundings and those people in your life. If you see something, say something. You never know how many lives you'll be saving. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Active Shooter, the podcast. Remember, if you see something, say something. There's no telling how many lives you may be saving.
A huge thank you to Darren Curtis, who composed some of the music used in this episode. Check him out at darrencurtismusic.com. DARRENCURTIS music.com.
Active shooter, reports of an active shooter,
mass casualty incidents.
Make sure to check us out on social media. We have a discussion group on Facebook. Just search for Active Shooter, the podcast discussion group. You can also find us on Instagram at Active the Podcast and Twitter at Podcast Active. For just $1 a month, you can get access to ad-free episodes, early release episodes when available, and a shout-out on the show. Just go to patreon.com/Active the Podcast. Thank you, and be safe.
Hello, and welcome to the Jury Room. I'm your host, Kevin, and I will be covering anything true crime, from serial killers to cold cases, and everything in between. The Jury Room podcast is available on most major podcasting platforms. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow anywhere you can. Stay safe, and thanks for listening.